When it comes to New Year's resolutions, we think of positive changes in our life. A brand new year is a great time of year to set new and improved goals. We want to identify new habits and make a fresh start. But where does one begin? Great question. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kathy Owen. I have been a certified fitness trainer and certified life coach since 2002. On this channel, we talk about entrepreneurship, having a growth mindset, fitness, healthy habits, and some reality transurfing. Today, we're talking about New Year's resolutions, whether you're listening to this in July or January, this is applicable. I'm going to turn to the Robert Dilts logical levels of change to discuss this. This is a useful model and a great way to understand ways we can achieve changes, set big goals, and overcome the bad habit of not keeping the New Year's resolutions that we set. The 6 logical levels of change are vision or purpose, identity, values and beliefs, capabilities, behaviors, and environment. The best New Year's resolutions are not resolutions at all. They are about change. They are ways to look at creating healthy habits. Common New Year's resolutions are often not kept. Now is a good time to investigate this reason, whether you are in the process of creating New Year's resolutions for the first of the year, or if you have fallen off the wagon over the past year. There is no better time than the present to consider this. By the way, I have a mind map that goes with this episode, and you can find that at www.kathyowen.com/mindmap. All right, let's get into the Robert Dilts levels of change. We're going to talk about step number 1, your purpose or your vision. Ask yourself this question: why am I here? A good question to ask is, what am I a part of? Your life purpose consists of the central motivating aims of your life. This can be the very reason or reasons you get up in the morning. Purpose or vision equals the motivating aims of your life. A lot of people do not even consider their purpose or vision when setting common New Year's resolutions. It would really be a good idea to consider your larger goal and purpose or vision to create behavior changes and create SMART goals. Your purpose and vision can guide life decisions, influence behaviors, shape your goals, offer a sense of direction, and create meaning. For some people, their purpose is connected to their vocation, and that vocation provides meaningful and satisfying work. It helps to have clarity in your purpose when coming up with a New Year's resolutions or a new goal. You will want to lay the groundwork for change and clearly communicate why you are initiating change. In the absence of a clear, focused purpose when setting a specific goal, people will fill that vacuum with their own reasons, and this is where excuses slip in. And then you have a lot of different purposes, and that can potentially lead to moving in a different direction. And you can end up wasting so much time and energy. Don't do this. We want something that can sustain us for the entire year, not just the first few weeks of January. We want to set realistic goals using a growth mindset. And the Robert Dilts model is a great place to start when it comes to setting good New Year's resolutions. A statement of intent. To communicate your vision and purpose, develop a statement of intent and keep it focused on the future. Define your reasons for setting the goals in the first place. Spend a little time defining your statement of intent. This one thing will really help you in the long run. Become very clear about this. Remember, it's not about what you do, but why you do it. Once you have clarity of purpose, you can decide the next steps to where you want to go in the future. As a fitness trainer, I see this happen so often, and this is one of the biggest cracks in the New Year's resolution process is they talk about what they want to do, but not why they do it. And when you get really crystal clear on your intent, on why you are doing it, it will really help everything else just fall into place. Identity. Changing your identity is about changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self image, even the judgments you have about yourself and others. And most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level called identity. Outcomes are about what you get, processes are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. Is from James Clear in Atomic Habits. I'm going to repeat that because it's kind of important. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. And identity is about what you believe. And we are talking about identity right now. When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that one level is better or worse than the other. All levels of change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. So I want to introduce you to the Hot Habit Checklist. And I encourage you to go download this little free PDF that I have created on building healthy habits that actually stick. You can find that at www.kathyowen.com/habits. I'll have a link in the description and the show notes to the habit download, as well as the mind map if that's what you're more interested in. Let's talk about the recipe for sustained success. And this comes from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Changing your beliefs isn't nearly as hard as you might think. There are only 2 steps. Decide the type of person you want to be. That's number 1. Number 2, prove it to yourself with small wins. So the first step is to decide who you want to be. What do you want to stand for? What are your principles and values? And who do you wish to become? These are big questions, and many people aren't sure where to begin, but they do know what kind of results they want to get. For example, they want to get 6-packs, abs, or maybe they want to feel less anxious, or maybe even just to double their salary. And that's fine. Start there and work backward from the results you want to the type of person who could get those results. Ask yourself, who is the type of person that could get the outcome I want? This is where reality transurfing comes in too, because reality transurfing talks about the slide, picturing yourself in the future, exactly what you want to become. So my mentor, Joseph Rodriguez, I'll have a link in the show notes and the description to more on Joseph Rodriguez, but he's an awesome mentor. He's got hundreds of episodes on his podcast or his YouTube channel, but he talks about this often. And he talks about how we can picture who the person is that we want to become. And actually, it can happen immediately, especially if you've been practicing this for a long time. And this is something I also teach. I'm very much in alignment with Joseph Rodriguez and how he teaches these things. He's an awesome mentor. And he also doesn't talk from a place of ego. That's what I love about listening to him. You very rarely, if ever, hear him talking an ego perspective. But here's a real life example of applying real life identity for your bigger goals. So perhaps you say you want to lose weight. The identity of that person who wants to lose weight, you want to become the type of person who moves more every single day. So a small win for that. So remember, the recipe for success is going to be identify the person you want to become. That's a person who moves more every day. And then you want to register small wins. So you can buy a pedometer or start tracking your steps on your smartwatch and walk 50 steps when you get home from work. Tomorrow, walk 100 steps. The day after that, walk 150. If you do this 5 days per week and add 50 steps each day, then by the end of the day, you'll be walking, by the end of the year, by the end of the year, you'll be walking over 10,000 steps. Now, this is an example that I found in Atomic Habits, James Clear's website. I found some of his blog posts, and that's an example that he has on there. But I think that the steps is as a fitness trainer, that's a little bit too simplistic. I would say just strive to be 1% better today than yesterday and apply the movement as getting 10 minutes of movement in on day one, and then add a minute every single day as you progress, and then get to a place where you're starting to challenge yourself fitness wise. And I teach about fitness and improvement that's going to improve your health, which is going to improve everything else in your life. So I always incorporate fitness in everything, including my courses, including my blog posts, all of that stuff. The next level on the Robert Dilts logical levels of change is values and beliefs. Values are like a compass that keeps us headed in the desired direction and are distinct from goals. Great New Year's resolutions will always consider your values first and foremost as part of your resolution plan. Goals are the specific ways you intend to execute your values. A goal is something that we aim for and check off once we have accomplished it, like our to-do list. Everyone has personal values, whether the person recognizes them or not. Values are the fundamental beliefs dear to us that govern our lives. Gandhi once said, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in harmony." And I love that word harmony. In fact, it is one of the simple ways to determine if your values and beliefs are in alignment with your goals. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in congruence with your personal values, you experience a sense of satisfaction and contentment. Setting a goal to become a professional athlete when you have not even considered the fact that your fixed mindset has kept you stuck in a level of stagnation is not harmonious and is not a good New Year's resolution or New Year's goal. I like to describe this like when your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions are in congruence with your personal values, you are in flow. So when you're in flow, everything just comes naturally. Whereas opposed to when you're fighting or resisting something, you are not in flow, or when you are reactive. But it's also important to recognize when you're not in harmony, and then do not shame yourself for being there, because we are human and it's going to happen on the journey. But when you realize that this is not in harmony, this is not where I want to be, you start to realize, okay, that's because my values are not in alignment. My thoughts, feelings, and actions are not in alignment. So where can I focus on getting my thoughts or my feelings or my actions in congruence, and just take little bitty steps? And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But do you know your core values? You want to take a deep look inside yourself to understand your core values. Being in alignment with your personal values makes all the difference in the way you live and work. When your choices and actions are incongruent with your set of values, you may feel internal stress and conflict. This is often a source of frustration and profound unhappiness. As Vadim Zeland says in Reality Transurfing, he says that lack of fulfillment and dissatisfaction are the pendulum's favorite. A pendulum, I talk about it all the time, is simply a thought structure that everybody else thinks. And when you know how to interact with pendulums, you can easily set them to the side and not give your energy to the pendulum, but give your energy to what you value. So, common personal core values are, especially as an entrepreneur, they are achievement, freedom, community, honesty, respect, love, and integrity. Identifying and understanding your core values is a challenging exercise for many people. Being aware of what you value most is important and worth your time and great for your mental health. When you understand and honor your personal values, it's easier to make crucial decisions. I can't stress that enough. When you understand and honor your personal values, it's easier to make crucial decisions. You are guided by what is called a moral compass in decision making to determine the best direction for you and your life goals. All right, so the next level we're going to talk about in Robert Dilts' logical levels of change is capabilities, skill, and competence. Capability ranges from behaviors you do without conscious efforts to skills you have learned more consciously. Capabilities refer to plans, strategies, knowledge, and skills needed to achieve a goal. It is considered the how level, also known as competence. Competence can be classified into 4 levels. We have unconscious incompetence. Number 2, we have conscious incompetence. Number 3, conscious competence. And number 4, unconscious competence. For instance, brushing your teeth might seem to be effortless for you. However, there was a time when you were unconsciously incompetent before you learned to consciously use a toothbrush. Then you developed your skills such that you don't need anybody's help to brush your teeth. Competencies can be learned and trained. Do you remember the first time you drove a car? That's a great example. How competent were you? The capabilities you might need to develop will be different from someone else's capabilities. Successful people identify capabilities related to their vision or purpose. Remember, back at the level 1, successful people identify capabilities related to their purpose or vision. They develop crucial skills, continuously learn and grow, and improving your skills with constant learning and consistent series of actions increase your capabilities. What happens a lot of times is people start getting too much information and they start chasing that shiny object. But when you start to pay attention to your capabilities and focus on that, which focus is something else I talk about on this channel, but you develop the skills to focus and then you learn and you grow. And remember, it's important to improve your skills with constant learning and a consistent series of actions. I love how you can go back on somebody's YouTube channel and look at their very first video, somebody that you admire, and watch how they progressively get better. It's just a given. I can't tell you that enough because you can go back and look at my first video and you could tell I'm nervous, you can tell I'm shaky, but it's so applicable to your process. It's a process of learning and getting the skills and capabilities. And then as you grow, you get better and better and better. So I've heard it said that you need 100 episodes under your belt before you really find your forte, your spot. And you have to keep giving that action and taking action, imperfect, unconscious, just imperfections is what's going to get you through to the next level. You just got to stay consistent with your actions. And another thing I can't stress enough is to stay consistent with your videos. Stay once a week, is the best. But if you're trying to get to the next level, it's going to take a while. You just got to stay consistent with your actions. And that's a small win that you can definitely celebrate. So if you set the goal for improving your business interactions and your community, then one video a week, one podcast episode a week, one blog post a week, and build on that. And as you build on that, you'll start finding yourself easily doing more and more and more. So, do you know about the 1% rule? I love this rule. When you improve a little each day, eventually big things occur. When you improve conditioning a little each day, eventually you have a big improvement in conditioning. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but eventually a gain is made. Don't look for the big, quick improvement. Seek small improvement, one day at a time. That's the only way it happens. And when it happens, it lasts. So that quote right there is from John Wooden. And I don't know exactly where I found that, but I love how he states that because this is so true. And especially in fitness, I've seen this happen. You have to improve a little each day. You're not going to see that success overnight, but it does take progress. That's why progress photos do serve their purpose in this. But I first read about the 1% rule and the slight edge by Jeff Olson. The 1% rule is simple. Focus on improving your capabilities. Remember, that's what we've been talking about here. The capabilities, skills for this. And you focus on improving them 1% each day. Just 1%, no more. And it might seem very little in the very beginning. The improvement will appear to be negligible. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will you. Great things take time to build. When you consistently improve by 1% each day, those improvements start compounding on each other. Slowly, the good habits you develop stack over time and outweigh the bad habits. Several months later, the improvements you make in one day equals what previously took you a few days to accomplish. When 1% compounds every day, it doubles every 72 days. If you continually improve yourself by just 1% each day, imagine the personal growth in your life at the end of this year. All right, the next level we're going to talk about is behaviors. Stephen Covey said, our character is basically a composite of our habits. Because they are consistent, often unconscious patterns, they constantly, daily express our character. Adopting a new habit or breaking an old one is notoriously hard. And human beings generally do not like change. I mean, it's just, I can't tell you how often I've seen this. But we stick to our old routines for various reasons, and they may include fear of the unknown or fear of the future. So there were some researchers who were originally interested in why some smokers were able to quit on their own while others needed help. And they found smokers quit only when they are ready to do so and discovered 5 stages that can be used to assess a person's readiness to make change. Understanding the science of behavioral change has been insightful in enabling people to make lasting change. The stages of change model have been an effective construct in understanding how people go through change successfully. 3 important considerations for modifying behavior include, number 1, readiness to change. Number 2, barriers to change. And number 3, expect a relapse. You could explain everything about a healthy lifestyle to someone and be sorely disappointed at the end if you don't know what stage the individual is currently in. When someone is not ready to change, your information goes from one ear out the other, and they probably need an espresso of a growth mindset. I can't tell you as a personal trainer, especially as a corporate wellness director, how often I have encountered this. And I have to remember that those considerations for modifying behavior include they need a readiness to change, number 1. Number two, what are their barriers to change? And these can be so many, from having a family, from having busy lifestyle, from even where they're living, their home, their environment. And we're going to talk about environment more also. And then you're going to expect a relapse. So 100% of the people I have trained over my many years of business is they all of them relapse somehow, some way. And a lot of times that relapse interferes with them coming even back to me, or them not getting out of that change, because as humans, we stick to the comfort zone. So remember I said we were going to talk about the stages of change that those researchers talked about with the smokers. And at stage number 1, we're going to go over those 5 stages right now. Stage number 1, pre-contemplation. During the pre-contemplation stage, you have no conscious intent of making a change. People in this stage may not recognize their behavior is unhealthy due to a lack of awareness or information. Most people might be in denial and tend to avoid thinking about the unhealthy behavior. For a person to move past pre-contemplation, you need to sense the unhealthy behavior that is holding them back from attaining important personal goals. And they need to sense that as well. And this stage right here is where most people are, and they just can't get to the next stage, which is contemplation. At this stage, people become increasingly aware that the behavior is a problem. You consider the potential benefits of making a change and weigh the cost. You may resist change as the costs tend to stand out. Ambivalence may cause you to reweigh the benefits and costs. And this stage can last months or even years. Oh, Lordy, I've seen this so many times. So you may experience conflicted emotions about changing as you view the time and effort involved in change. And most people prefer their comfort zone and they procrastinate. The key to moving to the next stage is a shift from an abstract idea to a belief that modifying your behavior is beneficial to you. You need to ask yourself why you want to change. Go back to vision and purpose, and there you find your answer. Why do you want to change? And congruent people tend to think of intrinsic or internal reasons to change. And it might be helpful to make a list of the pros and cons of behavior change and identify barriers and think about how to overcome them. So stage number 3 is preparation. During the preparation stage, you are ready to start taking action. I love this stage because then I get them in there. These people that are ready to make the stage or make the change it's fun to work with them. And you can see the wheels turning and how things are going to happen. And it just comes easy when you're working with them when they are prepared. And this stage typically lasts a few weeks, and you might take small steps that will prepare you to make the required change. People may share their plans to change with friends and family who may offer advice, and gather information about ways to change your behavior and do your research. It's important to write your goals down and prepare a plan of action if you want to increase your chances of making a lasting change. So I use Notion for this, and I build on Notion, and hopefully I've been using Notion since early 2022. I actually found it in 2021, and I started building on it slowly but surely, and I want to start teaching it because it's such a powerful tool. So what I do in Notion is I have this one important page that has my dream. It's called my Dream Big book, and you may have heard me talk about it. And I write my goals down for each of my big things. If it's health and fitness, if it's my job as a corporate wellness director, if it's my business as an entrepreneur, and I write down my big reasons why, and I refer to this often. I actually create a vision board that I can go in and look at really quick, and it's in my Notion, on my phone, on my computer, and I can easily go look at the things that I'm trying to build upon. And it helps build that reminder. And that right there is the preparation stage. So the next stage we lead into is action. Once you have a plan, you need to take direct action in order to accomplish your goals. If you don't spend enough time in preparation, it is difficult to progress in action due to temptations from people or your environment. So, with entrepreneurs, this is where the shiny object syndrome comes in because trust me, there are so many shiny objects to look at out there in the world. And you have to have some discipline and plan that discipline in your preparation. For example, in my entrepreneur page, I have a plan that is designed to be flexible, first of all, but second of all, it's also designed to keep me focused so I don't go chasing that shiny object. Now, trust me, I have done this before. We all do this. This is human behavior. I see this in fitness as well because people don't have a good plan for their fitness. And one of my tools that I use is I start telling them, okay, let's have a plan. You're going to exercise tomorrow. And let's lay out your clothes. Let's get your gym bag ready. Let's get your supplements ready for the morning. And then therefore that decreases resistance, as well as setting the alarm and starting slowly but surely and taking small steps. So that's part of the plan, that 1% to get better. And it's important to fight urges that could cause you to slip back into the old habits. When you work towards your goals, reward yourself for positive behavior. Reinforcement and support are extremely important to strengthen your commitment and move forwards. Remind yourself regularly of the belief in making the change and the benefits that will come. So when I've got somebody in this stage, I can tell them, I text them and I go, hey, this is great. Look, here we are. We are making the change. Things are going to come slowly. But yay, you did that. Let's celebrate that win together. And I hold them accountable. And I do this in my entrepreneurship. I do this as a corporate wellness director. It just happens all along the way. So at stage number 5, which is the final stage, it's the maintenance stage. And in the maintenance stage, you have changed your behavior and you need to turn it into a habit. Be aware of situations where you might be tempted to slip back into old habits. And avoid temptations and aim to replace these old habits with positive actions. Reward yourself so you can avoid a relapse. Remember, relapse was up there where people are trying to change, and it's going to come. It's not if, but when. So reward yourself so you can avoid a relapse, especially when you're in the maintenance stage. Surround yourself with supportive people whom you trust. So the relapses are commonly occur in behavior change. If you lapse back to the old behavior, don't beat yourself up. Shame and guilt, those are very low on the levels of consciousness. We don't want to shame ourselves. Should is a dirty word. Take it as a minor setback. Analyze what led to the relapse and identify possible triggers. And avoid the triggers in the future and don't give up on yourself. So, for example, I've trained this girl that gets all of a sudden starts to feel like crap once she starts exercising. And the reason why is because her body's starting to release those toxins. And that's going to happen when you start to move and you've gone from stagnant to moving. Your body is releasing those toxins. It's the same thing with a diet. If you give up carbohydrates, your body's going to go through withdrawal. No doubt about it. If you go through withdrawal of caffeine, you're going to have headaches, da-da-da-da-da. All of these different things that could cause a relapse. And then you're going to go, I don't want to do this anymore. But analyze what led to the relapse and identify possible triggers. So the one that doesn't feel good from her exercise, she could identify her possible trigger as, well, now I feel like crap. So take that movement from 20 minutes a day to 5 minutes a day and then build that 1% because as those toxins start releasing, you're going to feel worse. You don't want to push even harder. You want to go back to the 5 minutes and then 6 minutes, then 7 minutes, and slowly build your way up to the 20 minutes. With the diet, same thing. Don't cut yourself cold turkey. You cut back a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, but also remind yourself of what causes this to happen and don't beat yourself up, and then slowly start doing the 1% rule. So, on the logical levels of change, the next one we have is your environment. And the environment encompasses everything outside of yourself, is the state of external context where people live. So, Joseph Rodriguez talks about the logical levels of change often. And he also talks about environment as contributing to your state, everything in the 3D world. That is the state of the external context of where you live. Your surrounding influences your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions every day account for your environment. The choice of clothing a person wears is heavily influenced by the climate. That's a great example. So, like in New York, people can be found wearing winter coats during the winter. But if you live in a tropical country, you don't even need a winter coat. And recognizing the impacts of your environment on your livelihood is vital. That example is simple and to the point, but apply that where it goes in your life. So, more on environment, meet John. He's a university student who wants to be healthier. He lives with his friend and roommate, Tom, who is less health conscious. And John has decided to eat nutritious food as one of his New Year's resolutions. He wants to stop eating so much junk food. And he made a good start by carefully selecting groceries and cooking instead of ordering takeout. As the weeks went by, it became more difficult to stick with his routine. Cooking took significant time and effort, while Tom, his roommate, ordered takeout almost every day. The savor of pizza Tom just ordered reminded John of the convenience of ordering online. The temptation to fall back into old habits was very high. We can observe environmental factors that antagonized John's efforts to be healthier. If John wants to adopt and maintain a healthy habit, he needs to consider the conditions of his environment. In order to set the best conditions to be healthy, John needs to start by talking to Tom. Imagine if John and Tom agreed to cook together and shared the chore. It would take less time if both were chipping in. And cooking for 2 people is more cost-effective than cooking for 1. John would not be exposed to cues that constantly reminded him of fast food. And Tom would cut his spending on takeout and eat nutritious meals. The environment in the home would enable John to adopt a sustainable habit without resistance. The odds of adopting and maintaining a habit are higher when you set the best conditions in your environment to work in your favor. I'm just saying. So, in conclusion, being conscious of the 6 logical levels of change will help you when setting New Year's resolutions that work. Those logical levels are purpose and vision, identity, values and beliefs, capabilities, behaviors, and environment. These logical levels can help you understand at what level you are attempting to make change. Sometimes we might waste time trying to make a change at a lower level when we need to consider a higher hierarchical level to achieve that change. If you want to achieve the desired change in life, think about the logical level you are operating in. All right, thank you for spending part of your day with me. I trust that you found this helpful. If you know someone who can benefit from this episode, please feel free to share it with them. And until next time, I'll see you next time. Peace out and namaste.